Now, the CBX1000 is based on a 6-cylinder 250cc racer that Honda built. I believe it was in the 60s. And in the 70s, they decided to look at that motor and expand it and make it 1047 cc's.
The CBX is a bike that represents something of the best of both worlds for me. If you manage to get past the inflated price of the thing, what you get is basically a collector's piece that I guarantee will not get any cheaper from here on out. They've pretty much only just started to receive like true collector status within the past few years. I mean, just look at the comments in the part 1 and you'll basically find a pretty damn large number of folks kicking themselves for passing up the opportunity to buy a CBX for pocket link compared to right now in 2019. The prices are extreme, but still, I think the bike is kind of cool in its own right, even though it doesn't look the best these days. It kind of looks dated. But what you get though, and this is what I'm personally more interested in, is a platform for you to create something that only very few will ever witness, and even less will ever have ridden. See, the engine of the CBX is an engineering masterpiece, but everything outside of that is just basic UJM stuff from the late 70s. And what this means is that you can easily strip this thing into a very basic state and still have a trendy cafe racer, but you know, with 6 exhaust pipes catching people's eyes. But my question to that is, why stop there? I personally feel that the CBX is not just worthy of some basic cosmetic enhancements, but also some performance upgrades to truly make it the best that it can be. It's not like the CB750 or any other UJM 4-cylinder bike where you have a massive amount of 4-cylinders running around these days that those bikes will never ever catch up to. But when you get the CBX, you have a 6-cylinder, and that's unique unto itself, which makes it worth building. When it comes to suspension upgrades, some people have gone with a modern sport bike front end, which will obviously destroy any plush feeling that the original air-assisted pogo sticks might have given you. But a pair of inverted gold forks with a set of radial calipers, it just looks so goddamn killer, dude. Like, I don't even look at projects without those. The twin shocks in the back can remain as such, but they can be swapped out for much better looking and performing ones. And suddenly you have a CBX that can actually both stop and go around a corner without feeling like a Malaise era Cadillac. And the bike looks much more mean too. But here's the thing, and let's be 100% honest here, right? The sound of this beast needs to be unleashed. Forget everything else. Just, if nothing else, you need to let the world witness this fantastic noise that comes out of the CBX. See, there's a reason why I started the last video, not with music, not with a title screen, not with my voice, but simply the sound of the CBX doing a flyby, you know, just banging through the gears. Remember, we spoke about the R1 and why it sounds the way it does. And what that sounds like is half of a crossplane V8 that you'd associate with the good old US of A. The sound is so similar that you might even confuse the two at certain RPMs if you close your eyes. Well, the CBX with its 6 cylinders properly sounds like half of a low displacement F1 V12 engine from the golden era of F1 racing. Because now they use those lame ass turbo V6 engines. Get that shit out of here. V12, V10 life, baby. That's it. mean, really. Many people used to jack that my YZF sound, the YZF again, yeah, I know. Some people jacked that the YZF sounded like a rough-running V8 powered road-going Ferrari. What about a bike that sounds like a V12 Ferrari that eats racetracks for lunch and handles like nothing else? That's the CBX with a proper exhaust system, namely a 6-into-1 or 2 exhaust setup with no baffles at all. The chrome 6-into-6 pipes look absolutely wicked and would stand out like the GP bikes of the 1960s, but not even bringing up the weight savings, the sound alone is motivation enough to chuck them. To be honest, just thinking about this is enough to get me hype about owning and customizing my own CBX one day, but it would have to be at a point where I was ready to spend 15 grand on a bike, which I'm sure is what the bill will come out to be when including the bike and the mods. And even if I could afford the bike at this very moment, which I cannot unless I sell my FZ1 and the K bike when it's done, because I'm pretty sure the K is going to be worth more than the FZ1 when it's done, I would have to just sit on it somewhere until I have the money that I'd want to pour into it, else it would just be a bucket of parts somewhere. My inspiration would be builds like those done by Nick O'Kane, Rick Hayberg, The Bad Seeds, Tony's Toy Customs, and mainly JD Maxx, who have actually graciously provided an album of photos highlighting the process of their build, in which they hit pretty much all of the points that I would like to hit. The CBX might be a little bit odd looking and it doesn't look old in the cool way. It kind of looks off. But there's bits like the gas tank that lends itself to a custom package, and the builders were able to modify the frame to fit a modern Aprilia swing arm, which immediately starts setting off the look, even managing to create mounts for the modern monoshock setup. Combined with the modern front end, the CBX now has beefy sport bike tires and shiny bits. And after some basic bits like rear sets, a custom exhaust system, a subframe with a cowl, and you've pretty much gone beyond a typical Café build. This is definitely the method that I will follow for the most part. The bulk of the cost for the build would more than likely come from the engine and the carburetor work that I would have done, because not only would it probably need a cosmetic overhaul, for the engine area, but also I would like to take time to add my performance modifications. Some people bore these engines out for another few hundred cc's, almost 1400 cc's. Then they put on performance carbs and exhausts, they port the heads out, and they reground the cams, and they end up making almost 170 horsepower at the wheel, which is definitely modern sport bike numbers, and is very promising in the quest to make the CBX not only look and sound good, but go good. The JD Maxx build checks all 3 boxes with a killer 6-into-1 exhaust, performance modifications, and the frame-off restoration that makes everything look like it just left the factory. With those modern pieces, yet throwback styling and paint, it looks like a modern retro bike that you could buy at a dealer. And that would ultimately be the goal for me, a build with no expense spared. One thing that this K-bike build has taught me, right, is that if you approach a build with a specific look in mind, and it's a look that not many others bother to do when you look at the many builds for the same bike, odds are you're going to spend a lot more money than you thought you were at first. Odds are this is the reason why what you're doing is rarely done. Like, dude, I've already spent close to $3,000 on my K100, and we are nowhere near finished, to be honest. I bought the bike itself for $1,000, so I could literally own 4 K100s at this point with the money with the money that I spent. Hell, I could have, with the money that I could have saved, I could have probably bought a CBX in maybe 2 months from now from somewhere else in the US. The thing is, I don't like to half-ass things. I understand that everything that I do regarding this channel represents me, and I can look at things as a sort of investment, not only into my channel, but into myself. After all, experience is the best teacher, right? So thanks for hearing me daydream about a bike that I don't even own and have never even seen in person, to be honest. Maybe that could be my final boss, quote unquote, for my builds. But if that's the final boss, then I wonder what the next build is. All right. Let me stop getting ahead of myself, all right? Actually, let me just take a second to talk about the K100. So I made a community post, but if you happen to miss it, basically I have the front end mocked up on the bike, and as of Sunday the 14th of April, the front wheel off of the GSX-R 750 is arriving on this Friday. The triple tree from Cognito Moto with the with the custom measurements and all that shit, that's gonna arrive on Tuesday. So what this means is by Saturday, the bike will be able to be rolled around on the GSX-R front end and it'll be pretty much fitted. But before I can, say roll it to a welder, I'll need to buy brake discs for the front end and also a few other things, before I can start calling around and seeing where I could get the welds done the soonest. Because I called my guy and he's talking about like a month out, and I'm just like, I don't know if I could do that. So hang tight, and I hope to get an episode out very soon. Peace out. You just watched The Illustrator. Have a great week.